Now, I asked you the question about Chinese competition, and you gave a very strong answer. Can we just go back over that? You know, obviously, there's been a lot of talk of Chinese financing of a railway, and your perspective on, you know, is that intervention in China fair competition? How do you characterize the way the Chinese are operating here? Do you feel it's fair? And also in a wider continent-wide sense.
Yeah. Look, I think your question about fairness is, I mean, with all due respect, is not the issue. Okay. China is not a charity. China is a China Inc. Okay. And more so in the Chinese case, the border between China Gov and China Inc. is a little bit more hazier in other places.
Yes.
African governments have traditionally felt that, hey, here comes the Chinese, here is easier money. Easier in the sense of they come with less strings attached on issues that are more problematic to governments, like corporate governance, various levels of freedom requirements, blah, blah, blah. But they don't come free. Okay. Chinese, as I said, is not a charity. There is a price to be paid, and it's on the economic side as opposed to on the political side. In my view, and again, as I said, there is no reason why we should expect China to be a charity, honestly. I mean, why? Okay. In that respect, and you have to realize that every single penny that has gone into Africa from the development finance institutions is actually charity, in the sense that it's taxpayer money in these respective countries for whatever reasons. Not my issue, you know, whether they have a guilt trip, whether they want to feel good. Not my issue. Point is, every single dollar that has gone into this continent from the foreign direct, from the development finance institutions, is taxpayers' money. So it's John, Jack, and Smith who's paying it. Okay? In the case of China, it's a different story. But again, going back to the point, I do not, you know, obviously, it's welcome that infrastructure is built. Just when you ask me this question as someone in infrastructure in Kenya, my view is that I do not see Chinese involvement here as being, it has a value in building assets, but it does not have value in operating assets. Okay, because there has been no single, let's take a case in point, the Chinese built the Tazara, correct?
Yes.
Have they ever, since 1977, managed it, operated it? No. Okay. They've just kept on doling out grants and soft loans to both respective governments to finance their basic rehabilitation. So you can build whatever asset you want.
Yes.
If you're not maintaining it and operating it efficiently and properly, it's just another structure. Yeah? So my point in the presentation was that I'm not threatened by Chinese involvement in the railway. What they'll do, they'll build very nice, shiny 1.4 meter gauge railway with all the bridges, and it will cost Kenyan people $2.6 billion. The government of Kenya then will have to find someone to operate it. Okay? It's not going to be Chinese, because they don't do that. What they do is they invest in infrastructures that has a return to them. In as much as we are doing, I mean, I'm not claiming anything different. We are investing here a much smaller amount than what is being claimed to be invested on the standard gauge, because there are returns to be made. In the case of the Chinese, the returns that are made at the construction level and in exporting excess construction labor, not in the operation and the long term and the transfer of know-how. This is not their forte. With the exception when it's maybe linked to a resource extraction. That's a different story. Okay, so obviously you find a lot of Chinese involvement in oil and gas companies at the technical level, operation, mining maybe. But as I said, industry and services outside of those two specific areas, mining and oil and gas, non-existent.
President Zuma used this word beneficiation, saying that, you know, that it's now time that the Chinese added on value addition on the continent. You said, you know, is there one Chinese factory in Africa?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense for the Chinese to take these thoughts up on them, because the relationship is okay?
Why would they? Because they have a 1.3 billion market.
Yeah.
Okay. They have very efficient production. Tell me economically,
Yes.
why would they do it?
Yeah.
What would Africa offer
not
to
from
them?
not economic, from a political point of view.
No, but they're getting that bandwidth by building Thika Highway.
Yes.
Much easier proposition for them, and they make money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Now, assumingly, the soft loans. I mean, the Chinese are assuming that the soft loans
Yes.
that they are handing out to the African various infrastructure projects are going to be repaid one day.
Yes.
As far as I know, I'm not aware that they are grants.
Yes.
But
They're not grants.
as a superpower, I'm sure there's some of that goes into building the political muscles to have an effect. But what I want to get to, I totally agree with that statement by President Zuma. There has to be value addition, and that isn't happening. The only value addition happening on the continent is coming from African entrepreneurs linking up to whatever available pockets of liquidity that would be willing to finance. And as I said, sadly, this could be catapulted tenfold if banks were doing their job.
Yes, you were quite strong on that.
So the ones who are doing that up to this point and have been doing it for the last 40, 50 years are development finance institutions. They are the ones who, only ones who are putting dollars behind ideas and behind African management talent.
And Karim, if you look ahead now, you look at Citadel. You've had this. Where does it go from here? What is it? What is the forward view now?
Look, the forward view is we'll keep on investing based on our twin philosophy that I explained on the energy side and on the market sizes. And I think, we'll just we have built I think a good relationship with our partners, whether local or international. We'll keep on leveraging that. We'll be selective in what we do, but I think a lot of what we'll do will have high impact. Will be profitable, hopefully. Will have a high impact on the host communities and societies.
And one final point, you were talking about, if people come to Egypt, they should not come on their own. Does that rule apply to Africa as well, do you think? I mean, that's my impression.
We never went anywhere. When we did, we failed.
Yes.
Okay. We didn't fail from post-investment, thank God, but we failed in getting the investment.
Yeah.
So we've had a number of experiences where we did try to do things on our own. Okay. Admitting that I think we are much closer to how business is done, and as I said, as I told you, we've seen it all, than a Western investor would be. Yet, having said that, it's much quicker and much easier and much more constructive to have a local partner that you trust, that is, and because a lot of also the things we do are infrastructure. Okay, and infrastructure is by default has a lot of government interference. Okay, and yes, we are cognizant of. We have a lot of similarities with the local culture in terms of how you talk to a minister, what you say and what you don't say. But who's who? What's the right approach with that specific? Every country has its own peculiarities. So what I said about Egypt applies obviously to Africa, because mind you, the reason it doesn't apply to the West is that in the West we're talking more institutions. So you basically download the guidebook, you walk it, it's like you do sightseeing in London.
Yes.
Try doing sightseeing in Nairobi and finding your way around, or in Cairo for
Yes.
that matter. Yeah,
I did once.
It's the same
I got
concept.
lost.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, okay. I don't think we have a full coverage of maps that show all the streets in Cairo.
Yeah.
So it's the same concept. Yeah, you go to Europe, you try investing in a developer. This is clear because it's institutionalized. It's been there. Here, it's still the personal part is very important, and there is a big difference between what is being said and what is intended or needed or wanted. Okay, that gap is less so in developed markets.
Final question: are you an Egyptian company or an African company? How would you characterize?
No, I would characterize ourselves as an Egyptian company.
Egyptian company.
And an Egyptian, by definition, is an Arab, an African, and a Mediterranean company.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks.